I am Nick Harrison, and I'm a woodworker. You know, when I grew up, I was always interested in woodworking. I had some uncles and my dad that did a lot of woodworking, but it didn't pique my interest that much, I should say. I didn't really follow the interest as much. I thought the finished product was very cool and pretty pieces of furniture, but it didn't really appeal to me to want to make those. It sort of changed for me probably about a year ago now, and I had saw some ink pens that were made out of acrylic, not wood, but actually acrylic, and I got talking to the guy that made it and said that he did it on a lathe. Well, when I was growing up, being around my dad's shop and my uncle's shop on occasion, I thought that the lathe was the coolest tool in the shop. I just thought it was nice, you know, it was interesting that you could take a bulk piece of wood, a blank, and whittle it down and turn it down on the lathe to something that's, you know, amazing, whether it's a detail on a chair leg or a gavel that a judge uses in court or whatever it is. So I actually started making stuff on the lathe at first. I made some ink pens and some bowls. I made a few capsule boxes, little, you know, trinket boxes, that sort of stuff. But then I realized that getting bowl blanks was very expensive. I don't have any logging friends or any good source to source those bowl blanks, and so I was quickly finding out that it was about $40 a piece to be turning a bowl on the lathe that I could do in about an hour and a half. I stopped doing the lathe stuff for a little bit and then saved my pennies, started diving into some other woodworking tools, some saws and, you know, planers, joiners, hand tools, drills, stuff besides the stuff on the lathe, besides the tools on the lathe. In my shop, I don't have all of the best tools, and I don't need all the best tools at once. My tools are cheap, or they're finds, they're deals that I find on Craigslist or even the Facebook Marketplace and that sort of stuff. So, but I don't need all the best tools. I don't do this full time. I do it as a hobby. I do try to sell the pieces that I make if that is possible, but me being halfway new at this, it's very hard to find people that are willing to pay for custom furniture and custom pieces. They just want to go to IKEA or a big box store and buy, you know, a cheap piece of furniture. So I just do it as a hobby. I don't do it full time. I would love to do it full time and make cabinets and furniture and that sort of stuff, but that's very hard to do at first. With that said, I work full-time in construction, so I'm a residential home builder. I love the concept of building, and I think that's why my interest in furniture making and woodworking is also piqued as well. As far as how I learned, I never took a class. I never really had any formal instruction on how to do stuff. I'm kind of self-taught. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to do things. I read how-to articles on how to do things, different methods of joinery, different methods of finishing, sanding, that sort of stuff. A lot of it's just trial and error. I use cheap wood to make sort of a prototype, if you will, and then once I master that, I'll move on to the final product and making it out of nicer wood and nicer finishes. So everything's trial and error, and then quite honestly, I come up with my own methods sometimes. I might not be doing things the most efficient way or the quote-unquote proper way of doing things, but it works for me, it makes it easy for me, and it makes sense in my mind. So my style of woodworking, if somebody were to ask me what is my style of woodworking, I would say that I don't know, because I don't have one. I do a variety of different stuff just to kind of be eclectic. I do mostly small products, or small projects I should say, because I don't have the room in my personal house to store everything. And so normally if I make something that's big, I have to make it and get it out. So the bigger projects I normally make to order, if you will, commission products. If somebody wants something made, I'll make the project, finish it, and get it out because I don't have room to store it. But I do like doing a variety of projects. I like doing lathe work. I like doing jewelry boxes, urns, small boxes like that. I like making cabinets, dressers, hall trees, hall benches, that sort of thing, coat racks. I also like making gift projects. I've made a few of the rustic American flags, welcome signs, just stuff that is trinket style stuff, shabby chic, if you will. So I like woodworking for many reasons. I like the feeling of accomplishment once I get done with something. I don't like a project that takes me multiple days to make. I'm very impatient. I like to be able to come out to the shop and start something and finish it the same day. With larger projects, that is harder to do because there's more detail involved. You have to let glue dry, let the finish coats dry, that sort of stuff. But I do like the feeling of accomplishment when doing woodworking, the projects that you're able to put your blood, sweat, tears, your heart and soul into and have something nice that you can be proud of when you're done. I also like the smell of wood. I like the smell of walnut when it's cut, sapele, mahogany. A lot of those woods have a very nice smell. Even though it's not quite good for you to breathe it in, and I do wear a respirator when necessary, I like the smell of wood. Even oak has a sort of a sour smell to me, if you will. That's the best way I can describe it, but I do like the smell of it. There's even some exotic hardwoods that I really love the smell of. For example, bowcoat is a wood that, in my opinion, smells like dill pickles whenever you're cutting it or turning it or whatever. So it is a fun thing to kind of get the smell of that wood whenever you're making something.